On July 24th, the tariff number a lot of you have been pricing your products against quietly expired. And if you haven't recalculated your landed cost since, this video is for you. But I want to be upfront about something because it's the part that changed how I teach this. Recalculating the number is the easy half. It takes about 15 minutes, and half that actually decides whether your Q4 works is what happens to that number in the 7 day after you find it. And that part has almost nothing to do with supply chain. I'm Lara, and at Move Supply Chain, we've watched the US tariff reset 4 separate times since February. Let me give you the fast version and the method, then the part nobody talks. Back in February, the Supreme Court ruled that tariffs imposed under a law called IEEPA were never authorized in the first place. Reset 1. The administration replaced them within days with a Section 122 surcharge, a flat global rate. Reset 2, here's what almost everyone missed. Section 122 has a legal expiration built into it, 150 days. No extension without Congress. And that clock ran out on July 24th. Reset 3. And Reset 4 is already underway. A new set of duties under Section 301, phasing in country by country at different rates depending on where you source. So, if you built your pricing model in March of the Section 122 number and haven't touched it since, that number is not what you're paying today. Might be higher, might be lower, it's different, and different is the only thing I can promise you without seeing your numbers. Now, 5 steps, pull your last confirmed landed cost. Break it into 3 parts: unit cost, freight, and the tariff line separated out on its own. Because the tariff line is the only piece that just moved, and if you don't isolate it, you cannot tell how much of your cost problem is actually a tariff problem versus a freight surcharge or a supplier increase that has nothing to do with Washington. Find your current rate, the specific country percentage, not a number from a headline. Rebuild it. Then write down the date you did the calculation. So that's the method, just 15 minutes. One more supply chain thing before I move on, and it's separate. Remember Reset 1, the ruling that IEEPA tariffs were never lawful. If you imported in 2025 and paid under that program, you may be owed a refund. The mechanics are still being worked out in the lower courts. First step is one phone call to your customs broker, asking them to check your 2025 entries against IEEPA duty payments. Make the call this week. Now, here's where I actually want to spend the rest of this video. I've watched founders run that calculation, get a clean number, feel good about it, and then lose money anyway. Every single time, same result. The number stayed in the file where they calculated it. So let's talk about who else needs it and what they each have to decide differently once they have it. Your finance person, or you wearing the finance hat, the first question isn't, did cost go up? Is the margin problem or a cash problem? Because those get solved in completely different ways. A margin problem means your price is wrong and you fix it once. A cash problem means your timing is wrong. The money goes out before it comes back, and repricing doesn't touch it at all. Founders solve cash problems with price increases constantly and then can't work out why the pressure didn't go away. While you're there, resize the Q4 cash buffer and size it to the worst realistic swing you've personally seen this year, not an average of the 4 resets. If you built your buffer off the gentlest one, you built it wrong. If the honest number makes you uncomfortable, that discomfort is information. It's not a reason to close it out. Now, marketing is next, and this is where the expensive mistakes live. Your Q4 promo calendar was built against some cost number that nobody pulled at some point. If nobody tells marketing the number move, they will plan a full quarter of discount depth against a cost that no longer exists. And it will look like a good quarter the entire time it's happening because revenue looks fine. Revenue always looks fine. That's what makes it dangerous. Merchandising, which in most brands your size is the same person as marketing but wearing a different hat. So this is genuinely separate decision. Not every SKU moved the same. Some of your catalog barely flinched and some got hit hard. If your ad spend is still spread across the catalog evenly, you're now funding acquisition on your worst margins and calling it a growth strategy. Rank the SKUs by how much they actually move, then point spend at the top of the list. Customer experience. If any of this ends in a price change, somebody has to explain it to the customers. Write that explanation now when nothing's on fire. It takes 20 minutes for a calm Tuesday and about 2 hours on the day you actually need it, and the version you write it in a panic is always worse. And your 3PL or warehouse, because it is a cost change. If the cost change makes your order differently, the volume they're expecting in Q4 is now wrong, and receiving capacity in November is not something you want to renegotiate in November. So that's the 5 people, 1 number. Here's the mistake I want to name directly because I made it for years myself and I still catch myself doing it. I used to think my job ended when the number was right. It doesn't. The number being right and the number being distributed are 2 different pieces of work. And the second one is the one that actually protects the pattern. Being correct in a file nobody opens is not a contribution. And so now the refund, because it belongs in this section, not in the supply chain section. If you find out you might be owed money from 2025, that is not the reason to change how much inventory you order this month. It's not a cash flow plan. It's not a factor in your PO. It's a separate money from a separate year, and the only thing it should change is whether you make 1 phone call. Don't let a maybe turn it into strategy. I've watched that specific mistake cost the brand more than the refund was even worth. Last few minutes, and I'm starting something here that I'm going to do at the end of every video from now on. I'm calling it the owner's test. 4 questions about whatever we just built. Number 1, what is it called? If it doesn't have the name, it isn't a system. It's a thing you did once. The monthly landed cost review, boring name, that's fine. Nameless thing, get forgotten. Number 2, who runs it when you're not in the room? Now, not who does it now. Who runs it in 6 months and when you're traveling or sick or just when you're having a week? Number 3, when does it recur and on whose calendar? Not yours, theirs. Number 4, where is it written down? In enough detail that somebody without your years of experience could actually follow it. And here's why I keep coming back on this. Michael Gerber has a line, I think, that most owners don't own a business, they own a job. And this is exactly the tell. If the monthly cost review only happens when you remember to do it, you didn't build a system today. You gave yourself another recurring task. And you have plenty of those already. I'm sitting here having solved this, by the way, and here are still things that move that only run because I run them. I'm working on it and I'm not done. So 3 things this week: recalculate using the 5 steps, send the number to the 4 people who need it, actually send it, don't assume they'll ask, and call your broker about 2025. If you want help running your specific numbers, I built an AI version of myself trained on exactly this, links in the description. Next week, what happens to that number once it's out in the business, and the one sheet that keeps 5 functions from each holding a different version of it. See you next week.